Freakin Rollins might be the boy who cried wolf, in that all reports backstage indicate that he is actually injured. But if we go back 3 months ago, well, all reports backstage indicated that he was injured and that he did the ruse of the century and cashed in, dropped the crutches, and we were all tricked. So is he doing it again? Would Triple H repeat that storyline so soon after? I think no. I really think he's injured. He did that, like, while impressive, not necessary, coast-to-coast headbutt on Cody Rhodes, and, well, yeah, I think his shoulder is donezo, and he has to go for surgery. So let's just go under the assumption, that Seth is actually injured, and if I'm worked, I'm worked. I really don't care. I love when wrestling works me, and if it's true, then get well soon, Seth. I hate that you are injured, but good things can come out of it, and now we've got ourselves an interesting prospect now of who's going to become this world champion. Well, I'll tell you the first person who could become the world champion, and then we'll get onto the list. The first person is you. You, boys and girls at home, you could be the next world champion. I'm going to give this belt away at 20,000 subscribers on my quest to quit my day job. So, if you want to be the champion, all you got to do is comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, ding, 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 notification, and you could be the world champion. Not a toy, it's a replica. All right, we're going to start from the least likely to the most likely. This is a top 9 list. Everybody does top 10. I do top 9 here on Wrestle Chop. So let's get started with Roman Reigns. He, to me, is probably the least likely. Now, granted, he would be someone that could elevate the belt right away. That belt has always been seen as a second place belt, and Roman would elevate it. So that is a pro for Roman. However, you know one of the reasons why it's considered a second place belt? He's literally called it the second place belt. However, we could easily fix that with Roman just saying, any belt that I don't possess is the second place belt because I'm the guy. I'm the man. So we could work around it, but to be honest with you, Roman he's bigger than any championship at this point in his career, so he doesn't need it. And if we give it to Roman, then that belt kind of just goes away for months and months and months. Yeah, I think, as on a human level too, Roman probably does see it as a secondary belt. So if he's going to be champion ever again, he'll probably go after the big gold that Cody has. So while Roman's a possibility very far down the list for me, he would make a great champion, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. Next up would be Brock Lesnar, and I hate this choice. I do not want Brock to be a choice, but I gotta put my feelings aside, lock it away in a box, and then throw that box into the river and let the river just flow down to the ocean, and it falls in the Mariana Trench. And those are my feelings about Brock Lesnar because he's here. He's been WWE's break in case of emergency since 2012, and Triple H is. Yeah, he has the Brock Lesnar panic button, and he pressed it for John Cena, and where do we go with that? Brock Lesnar can instantly be inserted in any program, win the title. I don't think they'll do that. It does seem like Triple H is starting to listen to the criticisms online and stuff. I hope he hears that we do not want Brock as champion. If Brock's here for an attraction, he's here for an attraction, but like as champion, it just defeats the purpose. It defeats the purpose of the world champion being allowed to get over other guys on a regular basis. We can hot potato that world championship a lot. We don't need to let it go to Brock, who's only going to show up, every 3 months. It would elevate the title, not gonna lie, but his schedule. Nah, let's just keep it off him, please, please, please. Next up is John Cena. John Cena has 4 appearances left, but if Triple H is truly listening to the internet right now, kind of, sort of, on one of his fake accounts, because he wouldn't dare say that he actually listens to us, because in his own words, we don't matter. However, that's a paraphrasing, sorry, not actually his own words, but I paraphrased that, and that's what he meant. So, but what if he now knows that he's going to be credited with John Cena's failed retirement year, and he's trying to make up for it. And so he's like, all right, well, you know what? This wasn't in the plans, but since we had to, since everything, all the plans have been thrown out the window, what if they just gave it to John Cena? Literally, he wins it at Survivor Series. He wins it at Survivor Series somehow, some way, and then he loses it at Saturday night's main event, his last match. It could happen. It could happen, and that's Triple H trying to, I don't know, trying to change that perception that he ruined things. And John Cena then gets an 18th. I actually wouldn't mind that, because I kind of hate the fact that his 17th title win was in such a garbage WrestleMania main event, and I would love to just completely erase that from my mind. And if he wins the 18th world title, well, that would then, we would focus on that. I will say, sorry, my phone is going off. I will say, though, that, no, I don't think so. I think they're going to end it at 17, but if I could, I probably would do this, not gonna lie to you. All right, so number 6, Jey Uso. Jey Uso is a very dark horse pick, but what if, out of nowhere, Jey Uso gets somehow involved and wins the world title? He's the guy that takes all the losses for the Bloodline lately, or the reforming Bloodline, and he's kind of the guy that, like, while, yeah, he's in the main event, but he's literally there to take the pins. When LA Knight and Jimmy have to be on a team, Jimmy's the one that's going to get beat up and stuff like that. What if, though, it's all just like somehow, some way, Jimmy gets it, and that would then put him and Jey in conflict, because they already are. And, you know, Jimmy then finally gets the recognition that he deserves. And it would then really, really make the Bloodline story, like, kind of take a left turn, but like an interesting left turn. And I honestly feel that Jimmy is the better wrestler and the better person on the mic overall. But there's no denying Jey has the better connection with the crowd. And when Jey actually gets serious, he can cut a good promo. But yeah, I put Jimmy as my very dark horse pick at number 6 to win the world title. Number 5 is another dark horse pick, and I say Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre absolutely deserves a world title run. I think everybody would agree on that. The problem is he's on SmackDown, and he's not part of the world title picture. So it would be like, we'd have to write it in a way, but we could easily do that. They could just literally set up a tournament. Hey, you know what? Survivor Series, that's where The Rock actually won his championship during a Deadly Games tournament. What if we did that here? What if we did that here and Drew McIntyre just climbs up the ladder? Boom. We could easily make a reason to get Drew over there. You know, have Jacob Fatu beat him, and he's like, yeah, screw this place. I hate it. Goes back to Raw, wins the title, gets all of his heat back. I don't think it's going to happen. Drew deserves it. But they just love to, like, Drew McIntyre is the main event Dolph Ziggler right now, and they just love to, he can eat a loss, it just furthers his character. Yeah, I used to believe that too, until he just kept eating losses, and yeah, so, but sometimes WWE does like to just, like, tear someone down a lot, and then suddenly give them a championship, so maybe. Now we go to the final 4, and these are your most likely. These are the ones that I could see have the best shot at becoming champion. Number 4 is Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso is on a path to the world champion. I think it's a very slow burn, though, as it's now part of the bigger Bloodline storyline. I think, though, that they're going to stay the course with Jey Uso's story and not pivot to the world champion. I think that maybe Jey will he'll try for the world championship. This will become part of the storyline, but he will fail somehow, some way, and then that will further him down this dark path of becoming what he once fought against, becoming the tribal chief. and it will further a wedge between him and Jimmy. Now, if he wins, it would make sense and it would be good, but that would just then, I don't know, I think it would just cut months out of the Bloodline story, and then he would just instantly become the tribal chief, and I don't think we need to do that. I think we can actually hold off on Jey right now and continue this like slow nudging to the dark side. So he doesn't necessarily need to get the world champion, but he'd be credible, and his character is the most interesting it's been in a very long time for me. So I wouldn't mind it. But I think we got another better choice in the next one, and that's LA Knight. Yeah, LA Knight is just finally got into the main event scene. He's in the main event scene. He's been actually there this whole time since SummerSlam. Problem is, it seems like Braun Breaker has jumped the line, and that's fine. I've actually even done videos on how I want Braun Breaker to become world champion. But if LA Knight doesn't get it soon, if he does not win the big one soon, I think that's gonna be a big problem for LA Knight, and I'll start thinking that it's true that he has hit his glass ceiling, and I don't want that. I don't want that. I would love for Braun Breaker and LA Knight to hot potato the title all the way to WrestleMania. I think LA Knight actually wouldn't be a bad next champion, and then we could even do where the next night on Raw, he loses the championship, and then the next PLE, Survivor Series, or a Saturday Night Main Event, LA Knight wins it back. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that would be burying LA Knight, or that'd be burying Braun Breaker. It's not. I don't know. If you didn't live through the Attitude Era and watched the Mankind and Rock feud, it literally raised them both up, and they swapped that title back and forth at least, I think Mankind had it twice and Rock had it like 3 times during that whole feud. So it's okay to pass the title back and forth, and it would really elevate both of them, because you wouldn't know what was going on. You wouldn't know who's going to win this one, that one, and we don't need long title reigns, especially for the world champion. If we gotta have long title reign, give it to part-time Cody Rhodes. Let the world championship just be chaotic and crazy. So LA Knight would be my pick. But all that said, I don't see them giving it to LA Knight. I just don't. I wish. Triple H will probably justify it and say, he'll probably just win Money in the Bank. I don't know. I think it would be a very interesting prospect if all the way to the Rumble we had just, or even Elimination Chamber, LA Knight and Braun Breaker in a feud going for this title right here and just swapping it back and forth. Well, yeah, I don't know. Triple H just doesn't seem to want to put all his chips on the megastar. All right, so number two is probably, I think number 1, number 2 are tied, and that's CM Punk, Braun Breaker. Like, I could see either one going. I'm going to put CM Punk in the number 2 spot. He's the safest bet. I think, though, that the only reason why I think they wouldn't give it to him, I think they want to save CM Punk's big title reign, big moment for WrestleMania, main event, night 2. I think it's going to be Cody versus CM Punk night 2 WrestleMania, and unless they do Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, or even Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. But yeah, I just don't think they're going to give him the title. I think he wants to win it at WrestleMania. But they might just say, screw it. All plans have changed. CM Punk is such a safe pick and a worthy pick. Even if you don't like the guy, you got to admit, within the story confines of WWE, he's a main event guy, and people still do love and appreciate him for the most part. So giving it to CM Punk off of Seth Rollins, it allows for stability as Triple H and the writers try to write themselves out of this problem of losing Seth Rollins before Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania. So Punk is a very decent choice, but I think Braun Breaker is your pick. I think Triple H is going to, again, listen to criticism and be like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. Let's give it to a young guy. Let's see what happens. Let's shake things up. He already turned on Seth Rollins. If you don't let Braun Breaker become champion real soon after turning on Seth Rollins, then what was the point of the turn? What is the point of the turn? Right now, Braun Breaker cannot go after the Intercontinental title. He just can't. He just can't do it. So he has to be in that main event scene. And if he just is always trying and can never succeed, that will damage the overall aura of Braun Breaker. I get it. He's young. He's 28. But he needs to win. That's why I think LA Knight and Braun Breaker would be the perfect two feuding for the title, because both need it and they can just swap it back and forth. But yeah, I think Braun Breaker wins it. He becomes the future. He becomes the next big thing. He becomes the big dog. He becomes everything, and Paul Heyman can just really talk him up. So those are my 9 options for the world champion. It's probably going to be Braun or CM Punk, but if I could help it, I'd do LA Knight first and then quickly onto Braun Breaker, or the Unseen 18 would be my real choice, but I know that's not going to happen. So who do you think, boys and girls? Comment below who you think will be the next world champion. Boys, girls, have yourselves a great day.